on.
Last off.
I'm definitely going.
You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Great, thank you, TCTV. Good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairman Mike Curry, and I'd like to call the Select Board meeting to order on the 6th day of April 2022. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent, thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that not only are we being streamed live on TCTV Cable Station 8 and our YouTube web platform, but this evening's recording will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. Just doing a quick roll call. Gang's all here. We have our quorum. All five of us. All as always, our agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out by law, and it is publicly available at the official source for town information, templetonma.gov. Although I have the discretion as chairperson to add and remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. I do reserve the right to move agenda items around to best fit our business, guests, and time. Thank you. Okay, good evening. We've got pretty good agenda this evening. First, we're going to start off some housekeeping. Approval of meetings from March 9th and March 23rd. In your packet, please let me know if there are any amendments, clarifications, or observations. Otherwise, I'd accept the motion to accept both sets of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the meeting minutes of 3/9/22 as amended and 3/23/22 as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further comments on those amended minutes and 23rd minutes? Okay, hearing none on the motion to accept the amended March 9th minutes and March 23rd minutes, how would you vote, Jeff? Yes. Okay, thank you, Terry.
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
A yes vote as well. Thank you for that. We don't have any executive session minutes, and we will enter into citizen input. Any citizen input?
7 minutes. 3. Did we do both of those?
We did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
March 9th amended and 23rd as presented.
Sorry, mine somewhere else.
Yep, no problem. Citizen input. Did a lot of people walk in right at the last minute, so I thought there was going to be some citizen input, but maybe not.
Citizen support, right?
Okay, hearing no citizen input. First time in a long time you haven't had that. We'll move into new business. First, we have introductions of new employees. Jackie Prime is on with us. Jackie.
Hi, everyone. So tonight I wanted to introduce our new temporary senior center assistant, Linda Erali. Linda started a few weeks ago. She's coming up to speed quickly, and she's a warm and friendly addition to our team. So welcome to Linda.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda. Are you from town or are you in the area?
I'm in Orange. I live in Tully.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Anyone else?
Welcome to the team.
Yeah, welcome to the
Thank
team.
you. Thank you. I enjoy it very much. Thank you.
Great. We're working on the roof, promise.
Mr. Chair, just wanted to mention, if you don't see her face on there, you can see it on the front of the annual report. She's the resident that's on there with Sue.
Yep.
Oh, really? Oh.
See, you're already famous, Linda.
I got my picture out there.
Well, thanks, Linda. Appreciate Jackie, very happy to have you on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Night, bye.
Right.
All right, moving on to item D, appointments. Looks at them like we have no appointments this evening. And we're going to go right into our quarterly reports. We will start off with public safety. Dave, looks like you've got it. You're up first.
Good evening, everybody. I report in your packet because when the packets were due. or you sent it out,
Thank you.
it was my own.
Recycle.
Yeah, when they were due last week, they were, the quarter wasn't actually officially over yet, so I couldn't run my numbers and everything for the report. So third quarter report for the fire department. We had 351 emergency calls for the quarter. We did 63 residential and commercial inspections. The list of all of our emergency calls is down below if anybody has any questions about those. From our capital plan, we did receive our 4-inch and 2.5-inch hose, and we are in progress of putting those on the trucks and getting those into service. During this quarter, we did get the paperwork from the state ARPA funds for the grant for our utility truck, and that has been ordered already. I was able to find a truck and body that was actually in stock. So there's almost no lead time for this. It should be delivered here and in service, hopefully before the end of the fiscal year.
That's nice.
Some of our repairs, Rescue One, which is our older ambulance, has seen a little bit of time in the shop for some rear end issues with the air ride system. It currently is back in service, but that's had to get some details. It's getting older. Forestry 2, which is our 1978 Chevy pickup truck that's been outfitted, is a forestry unit. Has had over $5,000 worth of repairs to it, to keep it in service, and that's back up and running. It was out for a while. We needed new rear end suspension and a clutch, and unfortunately the amount of members nowadays that can actually drive a stick shift is going down. So it's a tough piece for us, but it'll be a good one for that stage. With the calls, 341 calls for the quarter. That is an increase of approximately 28% for the same time period last year to this year. It is a large increase for us, and that has been a pretty steady. We are just about up every month, every quarter on that call volume. Questions?
No, sir.
I just had a quick question.
Absolutely.
Your EMS, that's gone up quite a bit too as well, quarterly, has it not?
EMS is still our driving factor.
It is, right? Yeah.
80%, if not more, of all of our work is the EMS, but it continually going up.
Been climbing every.
Even, not just us, but other communities, even when COVID hit, we all took a downturn for probably about a month,
Mhm.
and things went back to normal. We're just crazy.
Yeah.
And then ever since COVID, I don't want to say stopped, I don't think it's ever going to stop, but since it's been less of in the public eye and people aren't afraid to go to the doctors and the hospitals anymore, we're just going for stuff that you just wouldn't believe we go for.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Any other questions for the chief? Chief, I think we're good. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I'm thinking in the audience, we're all here for Tracy.
Yes, yes.
Would the department heads mind if I move up the road race? No problem at all. Folks, would you prefer to do that?
Sure.
Sure, okay. I'm quick on the fly like that. Any objections from the board, just to move item, that's item F. That'll take you to, if you want to flip in your packet. Application there, file F. This is action related to town property use permit for Heroes Live Forever Memorial Road Race in memory of Templeton EMT Tracy Ferrazza. Folks, thanks for coming out this evening. We have the application, we've got your map. The date is September 24th, correct? Yep. I think the only questions that I had on this application, how are we doing with coordinating efforts? Yep.
In regards to that, I had reached out to the police chief. He did not give me anything in writing, but he said whatever we need to make it
Okay.
go off without a hitch, he's more than willing. Rich Curtis is online
Yep, I see
tonight.
that.
I did include in with the packet that I helped them with a email from him stating basically the same thing, whatever was needed for that as well from them. They've got experience, running doing the road races and everything with CERT. And obviously the fire department, if this was anything besides Tracy, there's really nothing needed from the fire department for this type of event. But we will be there in earnest, giving any support and anything that is needed for that as well.
Okay. The staging area is, I couldn't tell by the map, 462, is that the
High school parking lot.
Okay, and is there coordination with the school?
Yes.
Okay. I think the windmill, I don't remember the last time they did the windmill 5K, but it's not the same route, but much the same process and otherwise, so it's not like it's foreign.
Pretty,
5Ks.
it's pretty close. We're not going down to the track. We're gonna leave the front parking lot up Baldwin
Yep.
Road, in front of the station, come down
Yep.
across Otter River Board. And we were gonna use Brooks Road, but the condition of it wouldn't be good until we use Baptist Common unless something happens with Brooks Road. Then obviously we just go to Brooks Road because it's easier to go straight across the road.
Yeah. What's your expected audience? How many people do you think you'll?
Yeah, 200 to 300
Okay.
first event.
Oh, okay.
It'd be
200 to
great to
300.
have the support from Templeton. Tracy loved this community. She was one of my best friends, she was so proud to serve this community, and we're joined here with her mom and her son, her family, her brother and sister-in-law, close friends, and she just always talked highly about loving this community. And I used to be like, man, why you gotta live in the boondocks and yet you're always out in Boston? And so we just we thought it would be an honor to be able to honor her in this town that she loves so much. So it's, like I said, it'd be great to get the community really involved with this as much as she was involved in our community. So, yeah, so if we go over 300, we'll let you know if we get closer, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be a beautiful tribute run for her and everything that she loved about this area.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that was the point about the numbers, just in case we need to scale. Just consider what you might need to do if you do get the notification, like, wow, boy, are we getting the response that, we kind of expected, but you had to put something on the application. So I just want to make sure that we're ready to scale for live participants. And am I correct in thinking that you're thinking this will be an annual event?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Mr. Chair, as we get closer, I will also,
Mhm.
obviously, I'm in touch with Chief Dickey all
Sure.
the time. I'll be in touch with Chief Bennett, Mr. Curtis.
Yep.
As we're getting closer with our numbers, and, you know, we'll have a final meeting with the three of them as
Mhm.
well.
well,
And we need to-
Rich is great with contingency, so he's already, he's probably already thinking through my comment on scalability. That's what I want to make sure that we're doing that. But 100%, I echo your sentiment.
Mr. Chairman, with this being a event honoring a town employee, an EMT for the town, I'd like to request a waiving of the fees.
Okay, where does it sit right now?
It would be the nonprofit organization, so $25 per day. There's also a security deposit, but I'm thinking if the board was agreeable to waive that, the base camp is gonna be at NRSD. It's not
Mhm.
really gonna be on town property.
Right,
They're gonna be, out on the roads, but it's not really on our property. I might consider that.
what's the board's thoughts on that?
Absolutely.
Because you're raising money for the foundation. Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right,
I'm
well,
all in
just,
favor of it.
so, just make sure that we stipulate that in any final motion.
And can we also just know, we're also, some of the funds that are raised through this race, Tracy's family, her mother and her sons had asked if we would also do some type of scholarship for the kids within the community, where they can apply. Again, because this is our first year, we have to see what we're going off of, but that's another part of this
Sure.
event. So obviously it's in September, so it would be on condition of doing that in 2023. And, the beginning of the new school year. We would then reach back to you guys and say, this is where we're at, and if the community would like to get involved, like somebody, they write an essay. And
Yeah.
it was anyone that wanted to go in to become a firefighter, police officer, EMT,
Yeah,
Or special needs.
or special needs, because Tracy was very big with working with special needs.
if you have not talked with Dr. Casavant or Margaret Hughes, who's the chair for the school committee, they would love, I'm guessing they would love to be involved with that. And they'd probably facilitate it a lot better than we could.
Okay.
Direct connection with the school system and kids, especially if there's essay writing involved with it. So I would, bring them into your planning process and let them know what's going on.
Okay.
We also do-
Margaret Hughes and Dr. Casavant, they're easy to get over.
We also do scholarships through the Fire Department, Firefighters
Mhm.
Association, so we could help facilitate that and put it right in, because we do 3 scholarships a year as well. We do some of the similar things that they write into us and stuff.
Yeah, they have to write an essay into us and all that.
And you'll make it appropriate. Okay. Are there any other questions of the board?
Just one
Yep.
point. You mentioned you were gonna keep in touch with police chief and Rich Curtis and so forth. I would say keep in touch with the school as well, because, it is far away. Because I emailed the superintendent last week and he wasn't aware of this. And as of yesterday, he emailed me back and said, it's now on their facilities calendar, but
Yeah.
just to keep, because September is a long ways away.
Well, we had just found out we had to go to the school a day and a half ago. We thought it was a town use permit. We were using the parking lot. So we had no idea we had to go to the school.
Because the district is
Yeah,
belong to the town.
so.
But anyway, it's on the facilities calendar, but
Yeah.
just like you said, you're gonna keep in touch over.
Yeah,
the
we'll let them
months.
know if we need
Do
that.
that, just because
Heather,
things can get lost in.
Had to send the insurance waiver over and all that stuff for them.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, you had addressed it and the group has already acknowledged it. I was reading through this. I'm absolutely supportive of it and I wasn't sure the town use form was the right way to do this. because the school does own the property. It's
You own the
listed
roads, though.
listed on the property card for the base camp, but it's on the property card as the district. So I don't know that we really have the authority to say, yes, go there. I don't see how they're going to deny it. I absolutely support it. It's just, there's a learning curve. We're learning as we go. With the best intent.
From the route, you got base camp or the start, and then you have the roads part of it. So let's acknowledge this as what we own. Our part of it as town use,
And
with the submitted map that goes along with it. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion. Tim?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the permit for the Heroes Live Forever Memorial Road Race in memory of Templeton EMT Tracy Ferrazza, pending all requirements are met and the fee is waived for this event.
Second that motion.
I have a lot of seconds. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to approve the permit for the Heroes Live Forever Memorial Race in memory of Templeton EMT Tracy Ferrazza. Waived fees pending all requirements are met. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Absolutely, yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Absolutely,
And I
yes.
vote yes as well. Congrats. Thank you, board. And best luck for it.
Have a wonderful event.
Thank you.
I'm sure it will be well attended.
Thank you.
Check, the canceled check.
Oh, okay. Sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss.
Oh
my goodness.
I was walking around here.
Yeah.
You know, but she always do not get kind of that, so.
And I'll never, she brought Mitchell, I ran the swimming program in the first year, she brought Mitchell to the swimming program, and I said, let's make it work.
Heather sent the motion that police report of the record. No one's here for the police, right?
I love it.
Somebody should push him in the race. I thought.
We have the report. I'll just.
There you go.
acknowledge
That's
it.
me.
Good night, folks. Thank you.
I'll volunteer to push Mitchell.
We shouldn't be
go.
holding
You're
hands
in.
with these people.
There you go.
We together.
There you go. I already.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you
Just
so
my
much.
opinion.
You guys have a great day.
I would say delay it and get his ass in here in 2 weeks, but that's just my.
Might be at a snail's
I'm
pace. but
sorry. I have to put it out there
So
sometimes.
interesting.
You know, when they only have to come once quarterly.
You know? She's
That's
getting
okay.
it.
All right, folks, let's move on. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Okay, we're gonna jump back into our order. We were doing quarterly reports for public safety. We've heard from the fire department. We don't have police department with us, but everyone should acknowledge the third quarter report as submitted by Chief Bennett in your packet. And we'll move to emergency management. Good evening, Mr. Curtis.
Good evening. How you doing?
Excellent.
Okay. In January, we prepared for a warming center due to the extreme cold weekend that we had, a few days anyway, at one point. This notice was placed on the town website and social media. And basically, if anybody had called in, we would have opened it. CERT was on standby. But no calls were ever received for that, so it was not needed. We worked with the select board and others to get the property owner of Depot Pond Dam served with notices and orders. And I guess that was all successful. Haven't heard too much about it since then, so I don't know if anything is new or not. Began ordering equipment for our EMPG grant. We had $2,900 approved, and basically we bought some teleconferencing equipment for the EOC, and there's going to be a couple of 12-volt winches purchased as well to finish off that grant. And then I developed an incident management plan for Depot Pond Dam in the case of a breach. And to this date, I still haven't received any notice of any changes. I think it's still pretty much intact the way it is. I believe Bob was supposed to look into putting up Jersey barriers near the roadway. I don't know if that was ever finalized. But I think that was the only thing we talked about that could be done as a preventive measure. At least it would slow it down a little bit, I guess. I attended several statewide storm coordination calls by MEMA for different storms that were going on. And I attended a CERT meeting via Zoom in which the late Russ Tainter, his wife had donated $1,000 to the CERT team in memory of her husband. And with that, we purchased 2 flags with poles. We've put a photo up on the wall and purchased a park bench in his memory. And they came to that meeting to watch the presentation. You know, it was actually pretty good. And then there was 2 town property use forms that I dealt with that quarter as well. And a couple of things I didn't place on my report was that I ordered more PPEs. MEMA was giving them away for nothing, so I figured, why not? I hope Dave has room. If he doesn't, I do. But there's quite a bit coming, and I believe it's going to start coming tomorrow. So
Let me just let Lori know as well.
if Dave is still there, be forewarned, it's coming.
Let Lori know as well, because she has some email that she's got some storage areas as well.
Yeah, I'm in contact with
Okay.
Lori. She knows what we get in. We keep, we'll update the list of what's available. She knows.
Music to my ears, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, they were giving it away to anybody who requested it just to build up our supplies. So I grabbed what I could.
Any items of note, or is it more of the same, like masks, suits?
Basically the same thing. I mean, gloves, masks. There was a couple of things that weren't available. KN95s, which I know Dave doesn't want, but the CERT team could use those, or anybody can for that matter. But there is supposedly some N95s in there, so we'll have to wait and see if they come in. But we'll find out. They've been in touch with me via email since then, so we'll find out what we get as it goes on. I did work on coordinating with Mike Curry about the SEMP plan, and I'm hoping everybody's got that copy so we can get that process moving along. And then the last thing I have is that I was contacted by MEMA towards the end of the month, of last month. They wanted me to speak at what they're calling a CERT rodeo. Basically, it's a CERT festival or something to get people more interested in going to CERT. And I guess they're going to have some training there and stuff like that. And they requested that I do a 45-minute presentation and be one of the guest speakers. But unfortunately, on the 23rd of this month, which is when it is, I'll still be physically here in Florida. So Mike Dixon has volunteered to handle that. So at least we're going to have representation there. And they're also looking for a show and tell, basically, of a lot of our equipment. So the 2 vehicles and the trailer, probably that's all we'll probably send down there, but we'll probably send those down to for people to look at and see what's going on with it.
Where is that?
It's going to be in Leicester at the old, I think it was Becker College, maybe. But that's on the 23rd from, I believe it's 9 to 3.
Okay.
So it's only about a half an hour driving distance anyway.
Yes.
So, but Mike Dixon is going to handle that. And I'm sure Don Moran will help him get the vehicles down there and help watch over the equipment and whatnot. So that should all work out pretty good. And I will be home right around the 1st of the month.
All right. Rich talked about the SEMP. He and I moved it across the finish line. Department heads have it now for any review. And those are like the page 9 signatories. It will be on our agenda at the end of the month, so everyone will get a gander at that. It shouldn't be, it's a little bit, it'll make the packet a little bit longer, but it'll make sense to you. And I really appreciate Rich's work in that. That's been something that we've had on our goals for a couple of years, and I'm pretty excited about it. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Right. All right, and that does it for public safety. Moving on to the presentation for third quarter report for Public Works. Good evening, Bob.
Meetings, Chair Board. Third quarter report from the Highway and Buildings and Grounds. Highway Department, crews have been continuing going around patching many potholes. It's a bad year for potholes. With the water and the frost is bad this year. Plants supposedly gonna open up in the middle of April, so we should get more done. Couple of loads a day versus one load a day. Cleaning out the repairing catch basins. We started clearing catch basins, some DIs and some road culverts. We're picking up brush and cutting trees along the roadside, chipping and cleaning that up. There again today. Crews have been out plowing and treating roads as necessary. Hopefully we're on the positive side of things. Still got a couple of weeks to go. Crews have been going through the equipment and maintaining, cleaning up after the storms. And going through the trucks, people all the salt and sand off. And, being informed, we attended the County Highway Association meeting. Getting some good tips and then talking about the mutual aid system with the surrounding towns. We actually have somebody in charge if we do have an incident, coordinate what equipment needs to go over there and from to. So that's going to be a good plus for us. I've gone through and marked many trees and responding to residents on tree calls throughout the town. Have a crew received training on the new loader that we gratefully received. We upgraded the old logo for 2014 logo. They had some training with the newer technology now. It's not like the old breaking mechanical stuff. David Smart retired back in February. Congratulations on him on his retirement. We welcome him to the member of the board as well. There was one driveway inspection and one trench permit inspection. And the beavers are back. Moving on to that.
Bob, I had a question before you move into buildings and grounds.
Sure.
The Worcester County Highway Association, is that like a mutual aid-esque kind of discussion that you had? Is that when you determine what kind of equipment is needed for different emergencies or otherwise? Can you talk to that?
So if we had, say, an incident of the ice storm,
Right.
we needed small loaders with forks, pile up the brush, or backhoes, or cherry picker truck with piles of brush, stuff like that.
It's like,
Even in plowing and sanding, if you have a manpower, that's hard to cover. Somebody's garage burnt down, they didn't have no equipment, we could sacrifice probably one truck sander to help out. But
Yeah.
more.
it sounds like the same that we would do. Would you agree, Chief? Like, it's mutual aid, so if like Winchendon's had an issue with their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be able to understand that discussion, especially while Rich dropped off. And my other question, for trees, do you communicate with Light and Water? Like, who should?
Yeah, usually if somebody called and complains, they report the tree down across the road. It all depends who's dispatching. They'll say,
Okay.
I need somebody to come in got a tree down, I always ask if it's involved with wires.
Okay,
Because if it's involved with wires, the light company has to
Yep.
go first. And if they need us after that, instead of bringing a guy in for nothing,
Mhm.
well, not nothing, but it comes out of my budget.
Yep.
If they can handle it, I'd rather have them handle it versus.
okay.
And if it's a storm, we usually work together. It's not like I'm certified to work within the wires yet.
Nope, you've answered my question. Thank you. Anything else, highway, before we move into building and grounds? All right, building and grounds.
Public grounds, we, aerials have been busy. Flag duties have been busy. It's just patrons buying, purchasing lots and locating the graves and making them understand the cemetery rules. You know, picking up trash, removal from the cemeteries and Gilman, Wakefield. Flag markers and foundations, done for upright stones that were installed. We also have been plowing, treating parking lots and sidewalks, assisting the highway. The fire escape is 94% complete at the Baldwin Road Fire Station. We just have to pour a cement pad at the bottom, which we'll do once we get into the dry weather. Roof at the senior center developed several leaks. I was able to find a contractor. He built it. He's been out there twice already to make those repairs and definitely made a difference. Inventory of flags that he needed for Memorial place. So get ready for the spring cleanup.
Questions for Bob, buildings and ground.
Just one thing. Have you seen any increase yet in like people dumping mattresses? Somebody picked the tires up, but
I just got a report
TV
today.
and a vacuum.
I
saw that.
Hodgesville, yeah, we got a call today of somebody, a TV and something.
It was
flat
vacuum.
screen TV, a vacuum cleaner, and a carpet. There was 3 tires on the other side, but somebody took them.
Yeah, I had my guy pick them up the other day, but that's a popular spot in there. The old beach, call it over there off of,
Oh, yeah, Otter River.
that's becoming a dumping site.
Cameras.
Drive in and go around the corner. The only way to really fix that is we've got some used guardrail, we have to run the guardrail down. There is a chain gate there, but they made another road next to the chain gate,
Mhm.
so.
All over the place.
Does it make sense for the common areas if we start taking a look at like some security procedures, whether, whether it's as simple as a game camera or we wind up.
I did purchase a couple of game cameras for the old school. Another hot spot is Gary Road on the Hubbardston line, the bus turnaround. Look over that, but it looks like a landfill. Refrigerators, tires, cans. I did reach out to the Hubbardston superintendent. I told him I'd like to do a community thing where they see if we can clean this up, but he didn't seem as excited as I was for it. Most of it is in Hubbardston.
I just expect with that new landfill regulation with mattresses and stuff not being able to go, we're just gonna see.
And it's $10 and I was gonna take it down the road and wing it off.
Seen that.
I'd be interested in some kind of surveillance or otherwise, especially for the areas that make sense. I think the vacuum in the TV was almost right across the street from where the tires are.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Right on, I think Philip, just today, that reported. That must have happened yesterday or early evening, somebody took the sawzall, got one of those street signs down. Yeah, that's a main road.
Wasn't a stop sign, was it?
No. Why, you need one?
No, I'm just like, that's the stuff, that's the kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Sign removal will kill somebody.
No, the town's working hard to improve the signage and stuff. And people just, I don't know what they think of. Well, the sounds like a lot.
All right. I don't know, maybe a discussion, department head meeting about surveillance, you know, not like a, you know, a giant effort, but at least if we could do, you said you had some game cameras. Have they worked in the past?
Well, Laurie had one. I tried her several times. I can't get it to work.
Okay.
I purchased.
And then legal, you know, legality wise, once you have that data and, you know, does it get turned over to the police and then they follow our bylaws for dumping or otherwise? But I mean, that seems like the logical recipe right now, if we can get the equipment to work.
Even if we had townspeople or somebody that wanted to do that, I mean,
Right, like a
to
tip.
monitor them,
Yeah.
keep checking them. It's, you know, we could do it. It's just like I said, it depends what's happening.
You know, it's becomes additional duty and otherwise, but it just, it seems like there's been an uptick of jumping within this last year. Adam, you were gonna say something?
I am, that is something that we started to really put out there. Maybe we could look at doing a code red. Bob mentioned the cameras. It drives me absolutely insane when I hear of illegal dumping that costs Bob money.
Yeah.
And I have to deal with it and his crew's having to go out there. But I think at this point, I'll have a department head meeting with the police chief, Bob Sozik and Lori.
Yeah, I like the idea of following up with a code red to say, you know, surveillance or otherwise.
And then once the bigger signs get out, we can put those out too with the language we used before. Because I think in the winter, people didn't see that out there. You know, Tim and I worked on a couple of them. It's like some people just don't get the message, or they just don't care. One of the two. It's unfortunate.
I just had a question because we, you know, our police staff is doing the best they can. What about environmental police? Do we try to keep it in-house first? But because when I was out,
They're so short staffed. They're not gonna be able to-
environmental police are short-staffed too.
Yeah, you know,
I think there might be
I-
some around this area.
Yeah, there's one for like probably 200 square miles.
Yeah, now summertime, they're.
Yeah, you're never gonna see
always
it.
ATV there after all.
It's not just on our property where I hike, there's a gravel pit behind the cemetery. And you can't even believe they put gates up now on those gravel pits, but I thought, I actually did a report on Facebook. I saw someone go in and out with a truck, go in with a truck, come out empty.
See something, say something.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions, buildings and grounds? Thanks for, you know, going that direction. Okay. All right, Bob, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in this evening. And that finishes up for quarterly reports this evening. I'll address it when we do the social media policy. It's not a report. Next item is action related to open meeting law complaints. Mr. May, as it says on our agenda.
Mr. Chair, we have a suggested motion.
Yep, I move to direct the town administrator to respond to these open meeting law complaints.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There's 3 in total. 3 in total. 3 in total, okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, on the motion to direct the town administrator to respond to the 3 open meeting law complaints. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam, for doing that. Okay, we have accomplished item F. We are on to item G, action related to declaration for disposition of old playground equipment at the town hall.
Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
You see in your packet the memorandum from those in accordance with our surplus policy that we have. Bob wants to talk about his plan on, you noticed he's made some already, him and his staff have already made some improvements over there.
Yep.
At that site. So Bob, if you want to add anything further.
Yeah, I mean, just unused playground and other bars. It's actually a hazard really. That You're not gonna reuse them if you ever decide to put another playground. I like to remove them and the cement will be disposed of graves and the metal will be put in a metal dumpster, which is recycled at the lorry. For the landfill, recycle stuff, disposal and stuff like that.
Great, sounds good to me.
Mr. Chairman, I move to declare for disposition the old playground equipment at Town Hall and for the funds received from scrap metal to be paid to developmental services.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Terry? Julie? Any further discussion on old playground equipment, cement and steel at Town Hall? Hearing none, on the motion to declare for disposition the old playground equipment at Town Hall for the funds received from scrap metal to be paid for development services. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Yes vote as well. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Bob. Okay, item H, action related to Mass Department of Transportation Memorandum of Understanding concerning speed signs.
Mr. Chair, this memorandum of understanding the town put in for speed sign through the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. And in order for us to receive that sign, it will help our police department in regards to regulating speed, if you will. But because it's a memorandum of understanding within the select board authority, this needs to come in front of you for approval, that we can move forward and get that speed sign.
Okay.
And hopefully
It's their property and we manage it.
we manage it with the submit certain reports that go to the state. The police chief's well aware of
Okay,
this.
so it's like it's data collection as well.
Correct.
Works for both parties. Okay. Chief's on board, chief's aware.
Chief's on board.
Okay.
I believe he's done this before.
Probably not like it mattered, but it would be the same. Do you think it's the same kind of equipment that he already has? Same model, I mean, maybe not the same model, but similar to training. Okay.
How many? Where are they going? It's up to the discretion of them
Yep.
according to this, correct?
And it's 100% up to us.
To approve it.
The
But
the
they're-
local municipality.
The
it's our
local will
town,
make
like,
the
yeah, They
decision,
don't
right?
tell us where to put it. We can put it wherever we want.
Right, at our local level.
And
Correct.
how I understand it, based on the complaints they receive, wherever,
Mhm.
or whatever they notice speeding,
Right.
that's where they'll place it.
It's like the message was.
Right.
Yeah, that's spelled out, page 2, item 4, location, municipality has sole discretion to determine location.
Thanks, Tim. Yes.
And on page 2, it says we have to give them the data. So is that computerized data?
The chief knows how to
Yeah.
get that over to them.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Mass Department of Transportation for speed signs for Templeton as presented and for the chair to sign.
I have a motion in a second. Thank you very much. Any further questions on the MOU? Okay, hearing none, the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Mass DOT for speed signs for Templeton as presented and for the chair to sign. How would you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Great. Item I, action related to the annual election warrant. In your packet, you are going to see two pages for the annual town election warrant. Any questions? full slate. I would move to approve the annual election warrant as presented and for the board to sign.
Second.
Motion in a second. Monday, the 16th of May, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Middle school. Same bat channel, same bat time. Or do I have that backwards? Okay, hearing nothing else. On the motion to approve the annual election warrant as presented and for the board to sign, how do you vote? Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. Good luck to everyone. Okay, item J, action related to accepting a donation for the senior center roof. And after that warrant, you will see a handwritten note to the administrator's office from Kevin and Donna Libby. I'd like to donate the check towards the Baldwinville Senior Center roof repairs. It is a $100 check. Seeing the traffic from the accountant and Holly. So in accordance with policy, I would move to accept the donation from Mr. and Mrs. Libby and for the funds to be turned over to the treasurer collector to be added to the senior center project account.
Second.
A motion and a second. Thank you, Julie. Any further discussion?
I would just comment that this is awesome and very much appreciated. I don't want to insult anybody, make an assumption, but this is probably a lot of money to them. And they care enough to do this. I'm just very much appreciated to these two people and very thankful. And I hope the thing passes at town meeting. So these people's efforts are not for naught.
All right, team effort.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you.
And if I can add to that, we're hopeful that'll pass as well. And we've already started the bid package in anticipation of it passing. So if it doesn't, well, that would
Excellent.
just be really unfortunate.
All right. Any further discussion on the donation? Hearing none on the motion to accept the donation from Mr. and Mrs. Libby and for the funds to be turned over to treasurer collector to be added to the senior center project account, how would you vote? Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Libby. Very much appreciated. And I echo the sentiment that select board member Bennett had. Okay, that was item J. Item K is action related to the Juneteenth holiday. Mrs. Griffis, you have a motion for that, or you have a motion to
To
table?
table at this time.
Okay. So moved. Do we have a second for tabling Juneteenth holiday?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Okay, on the motion to table Juneteenth holiday until the next meeting, any further discussion? Hearing none, how do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, last item under new business is item L, is action related to social media policy. Okay, I've got that one. Social media policy that you've got in your packet. It's been around a while. I think Jeff, you had mentioned it at least a year ago that draft was still sitting out on the website.
A couple of years.
I definitely took some ownership with that because Diane Haley Brooks had the lead on that. I'm not sure if she started it or otherwise, but I know that she had taken it on as she would work with it. And I don't remember what I was doing at the time. I don't know if I was on veterans oversight or if I was on advisory, but she asked for my help and we both worked on it, and it stayed in draft form for a while. Trying to push Jeff uses this phrase a lot, when we make a vote, we've got to follow through. I'm kind of paraphrasing what you normally say. So as one of those loose threads that was hanging out there, I wanted to be able to push this forward. Worked on it, tweaked some items. Holly does a lot of the social media for us, at least from the town account. So Holly helped me out with some of these things. When we sat down, we got a letter from Steve, and I want to address some of the things he brought up. Steve is also a major player in our social media out there, whether it's YouTube and Facebook primarily. So he had some concerns with it. And even reading back through so I could look at some of the concerns that Steve had, I found some items that, as we talked through this policy, I found some items that I kind of thought that we might tweak as well. Holly, do you have the electronic copy up, or do you have it? Like, if we start talking through some of these things, if the intent is to try and do something with this tonight, then, I'd like to be able to make sure that we're capturing those things.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
So first, if I could just, hopefully you've had time to digest it. On page 3, probably about the 4th line down, it says use of the town social media sites shall comply with this policy, the town's personnel policy. So there's a word missing there.
Sorry.
On page 3, section 4, conduct of town officials. It says shall comply with this policy, the town's personnel. I believe we're trying to say the town's personnel policy. Yep, so add that word in. Drop down half the page. Town officials are discouraged from using personal accounts to comment or post. I'd like to strike comment and just leave it as post, because we have a whole section about comments. So I think what we're trying to capture there is posts. There's some, I don't know if the right word is pagination. There's a couple of breaks in the sentences. We just got to clean up there. Where it says business on other social, we just got to hit, bring that line up. Media sites, and that happens one other place as well. Yep. At the bottom of page 3, follow me on this one, says any town employee or appointed town social networking moderator. I think the intent of the policy is not to have one moderator, because we've got several pages that are out there. So what I'd like to do with that word moderator is put a open parent S as in plural, closed parent. So it would say any town employee or appointed town social networking moderators, giving the option that there would be more than one. And you kind of see where I'm going with that when we start to address some of the things that Steve had. Page 4, section 5. A little bit more than midway down, it says a comment posted by a member of the public on any town social media site is the opinion of the commenter or poster. Because we're in comments, just take out or poster.
It says commentator. Is that correct, or should it be commenter?
Commenter. And in the next section there, it says comments by authorized town officials. The second sentence there, comments by the general public shall be allowed on limited public social media forums only when consistent with the provisions of this policy. I'd like to strike that sentence because we're not trying to limit the general public. Which again, when I'm reading through this, and I've got the lens that not only Steve, but, just because, when Holly and I were taking a look at it, trying to preserve, I'll phrase it as First Amendment kind of considerations. We don't want to make sure that we're understanding what this policy is. We're not trying to policy out the general public. We're trying to make sure that we're being appropriate in our own domain. Bottom of page 4, the first bullet. So this is a list of the inappropriate forms of content. I'd like to keep all of them except for the first one. Comments not topically related to the particular social medium thread or topic or article being commented upon. I don't think that we need that. So I'd ask that that gets struck out, but all of the rest of them make 100% sense to me. Basically protecting rights and opening up anyone to litigation. I will specify, they're not numbered, but a little bit more than halfway. It says complaints regarding town employees should not be addressed in a social media environment. These should be sent to the town administrator.
Is that on that same page?
It's on page 5.
Page 5.
Yep. That was, you notice that there's not a prohibition of it, but when people are making comments, it says, so it says defamatory, the one before it is defamatory or personal attacks. The next one are about complaints regarding town employees should not be addressed, which we see some of those, but those should not be addressed in social media. They should be sent to the town administrator. I think you can understand, why that is there. We're not trying to prohibit that. We're trying to say, if you have a complaint for a town employee, you should forward it to the town administrator, not use social media as a platform for complaints.
Yeah, you don't get anything done that way.
Right. I'm still on page 5. The town reserves the right to restrict or remove any content that is deemed in violation of the social media policy or applicable law. I would and then strike the next sentence, as I don't think that it's required. So I'm to strike content submitted for posting that is not deemed suitable for posting by the witnessing or designated town official because it's not topically related to the particular subject being commented upon or otherwise is deemed prohibited content based on the criteria set forth in this policy must be retained in accordance with the relevant records retention schedule. I don't believe that we need that statement. Okay.
We'll go back to that complaint one
Sure.
regarding should not be addressed in social media. What if that swamps his mail? I mean, how?
It does anyway.
It's gonna
If
swamp
people
anyway,
have
right?
legitimate complaints about town employees, then they should not use the social media as the platform for that because it's just, it's needless. If someone has a legitimate complaint. they can-
Legitimate is should be in there then. Legitimate
Yeah.
complaints.
No.
Any complaining about a town employee should go directly to the town administrator, in my opinion.
Any,
Yeah.
You want to put it all over social media, you complain all you want, that's your right. But if you want it to be addressed, yes,
okay.
I agree with the way that it's written.
I agree.
You know what I mean? You have to be, if we get a little too off the beaten path with the way that we're writing it, we could be in trouble. We're trying to encourage people to contact our town administrator.
Okay.
And not just put it out in cyberspace somewhere that nobody's gonna deal with it anyway. I mean, if
Right.
you have a real concern about someone that
Yeah.
works for the town, there's your guy, he's right here. You
I
know,
think that line was taken out in this version that you sent me,
Which,
about the complaints. Can't find it, and I did a search for it, and I can't find it. I'll have to add that,
It's on
so
page
you want that to
5.
stay in, right?
I want it
I
to stay in.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
complaints
it's-
regarding town employees. should
Page
be
5 is
addressed.
the 7th bullet is the one we were talking about.
Yeah, I think
for
it's number
complaints.
7.
She might be looking at another version. We have gone back and forth and tracked changes, so she might.
Okay with that.
Mhm.
Find it.
We'll be able to.
Yeah.
Right now, she's collecting the changes, but this is all for the 5 of us. I just want to, there are some things when I read back through it, whether it's things that we didn't catch or if there are things that I think that actually help out in Steve's discussion. Section 6, second paragraph. Social media will review all requests to create to town, not contribute, but create. And then what in that paragraph, the last sentence, it says the town may over time transition to one centralized social media account. I'm thinking we strike that sentence. I don't know how feasible that is to add into a policy right now. It's like we're hoping for the best that we would try and consolidate into one. And I don't think that we need that in the policy. Not when we're out there and then we're trying to work with TCTV on what they do out there. So I would move, I would strike that last line. Next paragraph. Midway through the paragraph, it says the town administrator or their authorized representative. I think it's supposed to say something other than the town.
With the town, it says on mine, on this draft.
Mine says in this role, the town
No,
administrator.
a little bit further. So it says, go to the last,
Oh, the
last
town
sentence. Yeah.
administrator or their authorized.
I think it's supposed to say something else. The town administrator or their authorized representative will also be responsible for maintaining a list of all.
Oh,
The
yeah,
board?
different.
That'd be through the town administrator.
Yeah, so it
That's what I
should just say the town administrator or their authorized representative.
You could just strike it.
Yeah, just strike the first mention of
Oh,
town.
the town.
So it'll just be 2 rather than a list of 3. And then the last paragraph of section 6. I don't know where we stand with an IT officer structure wise. Okay. If we keep this paragraph, I'd like to add in some language about grandfathered sites. So we have sites as they exist right now. I don't know if we want to go through an entire policy process for the ones that we have existing. I would just like to add in language that say all current town sites are hereby grandfathered at the signing of this policy.
Somebody's out there at the end.
Yeah. All existing town social media sites are to be grandfathered.
So just add existing.
Yep. And then moving forward, then the paragraph makes sense to me.
So the board just gonna go through this and put it onto the next agenda. I mean, the final. What your suggestions are, or are we?
Well, I'm making, if people were, already, I mean, I'm the only one that's been flapping my gums right now, so we haven't heard from anyone else. But if we go through this and these changes, everyone's like, yeah, those are all good changes. We could vote it in.
Right now, right?
Right,
Yeah.
because it would be
Why would
as
we vote?
amended, not as presented.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe that's,
Makes sense.
that is all of the changes. It's kind of interesting that you were
Thursday.
breaking right there. That is all the changes that I had. I just wanted to make sure that we got the grandfather thing in this. Before I give up my time, I read through, Steve knew that this was going on. Steve knew that this was going on and wanted to be a part of it. He shared a lot of the stuff that he had within a TCTV perspective. He gave us this memorandum everyone's got in front of us. I had the time to read through it. I have to say, I don't see a lot of concern between his concerns and our social media policy, because the social media policy's intent is to protect the town, the employees, and to basically spell out how we manage the sites, to make sure that we got language in there that says, if this is an official site, here's what you do if you don't like something or otherwise. That's right in the, if you click on the info in any social media area, it will tell you that information. And it basically specifies official conduct. And we do go into it with official contact, that we specify there's personal. We're not trying to judge personal contact. We're trying to specify conduct of
Board
official,
members and-
yeah, official conduct. And I think that this policy does that in a minimal sense, even though it's a cup, I don't know how many pages, is it 5, 6, 7?
I'm just
It does
thinking,
that in a minimal way.
I'm just thinking since we got this
is
April 5th, the TCTV, and then we're doing these edits to the policy to have it on one more final form, and then the board to vote on it allows us to have that vetting. That's my standpoint on
That's your recommendation.
that would be my recommendation is we did make quite a bit of updates tonight when we're going through it. I don't see any really strong opposition or anything, but I think it
Well,
just,
it's right here, your opposition.
well, I'm saying.
Some of
from the-
these comments.
From the select board.
Oh.
I would just be, that's my standpoint. I think if we just do it one more time and then it allows our office to do the final edits, and then the board could vote on the final version.
Because some of the things that Steve talked about in his memorandum, restrictions on promoting commerce and business, we do not do that in the policy. Political discourse should not be restricted. We're not trying to reduce political discourse. We're trying to reduce abusive behavior from town employees. On that one, TCTV does a great job of, while we're sitting here having a great conversation, sometimes TCTV gets in there in the YouTube and they prevent trolls, they delete offensive comments. That's all we're trying to do. So our missions are aligned. Content oversight equates to state-run TV. That's not what this policy does, in my estimation. I mean, I would need, there's no evidence. I'm not even asking for a solicitation for whether it's in there or not. We're not suggesting any kind of content oversight. We have not said that.
Do we put anything in the policy that it holds them harmless or exempt from these policies? Would that make sense?
Well, that's
To
his,
acknowledge that we understand what he is.
that's his last item here. But I was just going through to say, this policy is not meant to do it, nor does any language in there restrict to any kind of free press or otherwise. And he has a lot, he's offered a
Aren't they
lot
a
there.
town entity though? Don't they work for us?
Yes, he does point out that the funding comes from the enterprise cable access TV. But to me, that's not the point. The point is what it's trying to do is protect conduct and process. So nothing in his memorandum, I think, is affected should this policy go into effect. The last item he has here, he says, make provisions to exempt TCTV from this policy. Let's talk through that. How would that, if we gave a blanket exemption for TCTV as a separate entity, how does that hurt or help? My position is that nothing in there restricts what they do right now. They have quality content. It's clean. It's not divisive. It doesn't call out any
Well, let's
person.
talk about the residents and their interpretation of our policies. Would there be any chance that a resident might read our policy and say, wait a minute, TCTV is town employee and they're violating your policy. You're not sticking to your policy. I don't know how every resident thinks. I do know how some residents think. And if it's not sealed up beyond the shadow of a doubt, we could have issues.
Yeah.
To
So remember when I added that plural in there, town social networking moderator. I already view, because Steve
Yeah.
already does this. Steve already moderates his own material and TCTV works towards that. To me, he doesn't need an exemption because nothing that they do would be in any way in violation And I view Steve as one of the moderators. He winds up being in charge of his.
area
Yeah.
of expertise.
Yep.
So for me, I say we clean this up and we pass it tonight. That's me. It's been sitting for a long time. I agree with Jeff when the opinions occasionally come up that, you know what, once we say we're gonna do something, let's try to get to a final, get over that finish line with it. If we want to table this for 2 weeks and listen to everyone's opinions on it, fine. But I don't think it's necessary, in my opinion. I think we can go ahead and clean it up tonight, vote it in. And I don't see that there's any issue. And everything in this policy, I agree with you, Mike, TCTV is already doing.
Yeah.
So I don't see where we're restricting them in any way. And he is a moderator. He's a town moderator in your policy.
Right.
So that's how I'm looking at it.
And that's how I would appoint him.
I get it.
Right. I say the select board is in this, but
Right.
most of it falls down to Adam and his office to be able to say,
Right.
what's the structure? How, do I have a list of all the domains that we have out there, all the lists and
Mhm.
otherwise? Adam, if you remember when we were dealing with the rec department Facebook site, you went through a lot of that already to come to resolution.
Mhm.
Is there any way we should run it by the attorney just to make darn sure we're doing the right thing?
Yeah, probably for legal sufficiency, I think that would be.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
On section 7. Page 6, where it talks about the social networking moderator retains authority to laterally censor information from town social media. The censorship actions made within this provision may be challenged or reviewed by the town administrator or select board. Now, I look in our job description for the town administrator, and under item F, it says the town administrator is responsible for media and public relations. And since this would be, I would think, a day-to-day thing regarding town employees or, posting stuff, on the social media thing, whether it really needs to come to the select board, unless maybe we word it the same as the personnel policy has regarding if there's an issue with an employee wanting to take vacation and the department head says no, and then if he goes to town administrator, you can't, last resort, they come to the board of selectmen.
I think
But
only if it involved me, it would come to you.
It's just, I just,
If I posted something.
that
that
it says
was-
town administrator or select board. I
Yeah.
just think it's a day-to-day thing, normal business stuff. And like I said, it's listed in your job description. And I even think in the Board of Selectmen's policies and procedures, it mentions relations with or complaints from citizens, residents. In case somebody says, hey, I saw an employee doing, posting this on your site, is that work, whatever that may be. Again, that specifies the town administrator is supposed to deal with it. So
Jeff, I got a question for you. So if it, just starting on that page, made within this provision may be challenged or reviewed by the town administrator on an as-needed basis, and then new sentence, appeals to these decisions may be made
to
to the select board.
Right, instead of,
Oh.
because the administrator or it just kind of, I don't know, to me, it's like, you guys make up your mind how this is gonna work. It's too many choices.
If I can also add to that, though, I think if it involved me, though, it would come to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was you personally.
If I violated the
It's just
policy.
like the sexual harassment, somebody in my department was pushing something against me, they would go to you. No, they can't come to me, so, yeah, they would have to go to the board.
So we would have to tie that in.
Yeah.
If something happened with me, it would come to the select board.
I'll rewrite it. Appeals and actions
Involving the
involving DA would be handled, reviewed by the select board.
Appeals to these decisions and actions involving the town administrator.
Correct. Appeals and actions.
Appeals may be made to.
And actions is the appropriate word because starting that sentence is censorship actions. So basically, as the moderators are responsible, so just to use Steve as an example, if we would name him as a moderator, if he performed a censorship action that someone challenged, you would make that decision, and appeals to that would come to the select board. Correct. Yep.
And who is defined as the town social networking moderator? It's kind of vague.
Appointee.
That's the appointee, right?
So is the administrator the appointee? Appointing authority, excuse me.
So section 6, last paragraph, all town social media sites shall be established by a duly designated town information IT or by duly IT officer with the approval and under the direction of the town administration, under the direction of the town administrator or their authorized representative shall be published during approved town social networking platform and tools administered by the town IT officer. We just add in that position would also appoint moderators.
Which position? The IT officer?
The IT officer,
Just add that at the end.
yes. So that cleans up the specificity there, under account management. So Julie, what I would say, if Adam agrees for legal sufficiency, if we take the changes from tonight, clean up the document, if that's within your budget to have them look at it for legal sufficiency, then we can do as you were requesting and put it on the next meeting.
Then get the final version.
Yep.
To clear.
That's been checked for legal sufficiency.
So Holly, you'll get those edits made, you can send it off to town council tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm
morning.
gonna get the edit made and send them to Mike to make sure that I received what he was putting out
Okay,
there.
well, I have my notes too.
Okay. And then town council.
So we covered.
Where we left it. I was doing a lot of talking. Jeff made one point under section 7. How about Terry, Julie, or Tim? Did you have any content observations?
No,
I just have one question where we're spelling out that appeals process. It's also identified page 4. in Section 4. Inconsistencies, very top of the page, the first sentence, first full sentence. Inconsistencies reported to the office of the select board and or the town administrator. Do we need to have it in both section 4 and section 6?
So it's any town employee or the town social networking moderator may monitor the content posted by town officials on each of the town's social media sites to ensure it complies with this policy for appropriate use, messaging, branding, consistent with the goals of the town. Inconsistencies will be reported to the office of the select board and or town administrator.
I think we
Should be inconsistencies should be reported to the IT officer, town information officer, and town administrator. That makes sense. All right, so we're changing select board there to town IT officer. Nice catch, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim, what were you saying
town
on page
administrator.
6?
No, we were adding that language,
And
but we were putting it in 2 different places and it was kind of ambiguous.
So it'd be and the town
So
administrator,
where's
right?
the other place that we need to take it out? of?
No,
You're saying because we
Oh, right,
changed
it's
section
cohesive.
7, he found another area that had the same
It's
kind of
cohesive.
language.
Yep.
Correct.
So it would be reported to the town IT officer and the town administrator, is that correct?
Or because if the town IT officer can resolve it.
Oh, so and or, okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's always our goal, is to address at the lowest level.
Yep, never was.
And again, I think Steve already does this. TCTV does a great job of managing what they put on there. There's never any censorship. I just don't see how. Go ahead.
Just trying to straighten out, so do they go to Holly first, Adam first?
So.
Either one, and how are we gonna word that if there's, like, once they go to Holly, do they appeal to Adam and then they appeal to us? How does that
So
work?
the two different areas. Tim was just clearing it up to say it's not going to go to the select board. The select board is going to do appeals.
Right,
And that was based on unilaterally censoring information, so removing it or otherwise. This section is talking about monitoring for appropriate use.
yeah,
So if you add a town, a social networking moderator, detect defamatory or personal attacks, threats to any person or organization, they can act on those,
mhm,
right? So then they find something, they jump to section 6 and they unilaterally censor that.
go to Adam,
No, they're taking care of it right
Oh,
there.
the three of them,
Yep, they have the authority to unilaterally censor information
okay.
based on that on section 4. Yep. So Terry, like TCT, I'm keep using them as an example just to kind of illustrate. I'm sure he's watching. TCTV sees someone make a threat
Yeah.
to attack, like he posts something on the kite day or otherwise, and it's, oh, such and such select board member was out there to open up the kite day, and someone makes a comment that is threatening. So they're already, because their duty is to monitor for appropriate use,
Mhm.
they can unilaterally censor that information and delete the comment. And if someone, made an issue of it or otherwise, and say that was not in accordance with the policy, that was a threatening remark.
Mhm. That if Steve didn't catch it first, if it's something on his.
He's pretty good about catching comments like that, but so that if it's your site, so if you're on advisory
Yeah.
and you have an advisory Facebook page, you're watching your page.
Yeah.
That's the duty, that's the diligence that's prescribed by the policy from an official perspective.
Okay,
And all Tim was doing is making sure that those two things align.
Yeah, because they were a little bit out of sync.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we were getting them correct.
Anything else?
nice to get it off the list.
All right, then, if there are nothing else now, we still got a little bit of time. There's some edits that are gonna go in here. We don't need a vote, but we can have consensus. The consensus will be, the edits will be made. We'll do a quick check on learning. Just a quick look at that. It'll go to town council for legal sufficiency, and that should make it in time for our next meeting, so we can take a look at it again, see if it still holds water, and then sign it into policy, which will be an addendum to the select board policy. Sound good, everyone?
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Folks, that brings us to the end of new business. We are on to a couple of items of old business. The first being action related to Main Street Bridge rehabilitation and water main replacement alternative analysis. We don't have anyone on or otherwise, but we've got I noticed that there was an abridged version of the PowerPoint
Correct.
Mhm.
to remind us of, at least from the superstructure or the bridge perspective, what the alternative considerations were.
Correct. This board will make a decision on which alternative they want to proceed in. And within the motion, I would also, even though you gave me authority with the move forward with this project, I would, whatever alternative you choose, and for the administrator to proceed with design.
Okay. And that's, as I read in the PowerPoint, but basically the funding sources, that's really that first, the permitting and funding sources to go secure how we're gonna pay for this. Do we have the funding now to be able to proceed with what you're talking about, permitting and otherwise?
We have I'm working with Ty and Bonds to see how we can make it work within the $200,000 we already have appropriated.
Okay.
Because remember, the water department is also picking up a portion, their portion of that bill as well. So you'll see that on your alternatives page.
Those are not numbered, sorry.
When you're looking at these are engineering and construction, but you don't have the breakout of the costs associated with that design. Because these numbers aren't final anyways. They could be lower, they could be higher, depending
Right.
upon what
Right, they're ballpark.
happens with
It's a
design.
ballpark.
It's a
figure, right?
ballpark until they
Yeah.
get further into the design of whichever alternative you choose tonight. So these numbers will get, once they get further in design, they'll give a solid, best estimated number.
Okay.
That it would cost.
I definitely spent some time with that last slide deck that we had, 60, 70 pages. And being able to explain all of these, because they're not well defined in these, but the last one did a really good job in the presentation that they had. I think I was remote for that meeting, so I think I heard a lot of just the discussion that you guys had. It looked like we were leaning towards alternative number 2. Alternative number 1 is basically put a Band-Aid on it. Course of action number 1, Band-Aid. Course of action number 2, actually looking at trying to preserve best value for the buck. And then alternative 3, rebuild the whole thing.
Bob's recommendation was alternative 2 as well.
Yeah, I would recommend.
Are there any grants?
On top of that, whether we use chapter 90 monies, I didn't even mention this to Adam yet, but I'd like to include sidewalk repair from the senior paper to Main Street, the state road, where they just freshened up the sidewalks are in compliance. It'd be nice to have that one little short section though. There is a handicap kid there, they try to go to the park, and she calls quite often, but then the road's fine, they're good condition. It'd be nice to include the sidewalk along with that project as well. It might even help us in some granting, I don't know.
Mr. Chair, if I may. Sure. Brad, I'm also a bridge builder. I watched your meeting. You should definitely go with option 2, because obviously option 3 is way out of our realm in town. But option 2 is you're gonna be your bang for your best buck. You go with option 1, me as a contractor, I go in there and start sandblasting those beams apart, they're gonna fall apart, they're gonna deteriorate. Now your price is gonna be up beyond your option 2.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to replace it.
Yeah, because once you start blasting them apart, there is no saving them, they jump. You start getting into the substructure, yeah, it looks good right now. I go into substructure on bridges that are 10 years old, and yeah, it's 2 or 3 inches, you start taking out 6, 8 inches, your price is gonna go up. You're gonna get your better bang for your buck with option 2.
Thank you for your input. That was appreciated.
Bob, maybe a
My
tiny bit,
taxpaying dollars too, so.
Bob, maybe a tiny bit off topic, but the $200 or so thousand that we just got notice as part of the governor's, I'm gonna help you with, Bolson of, and does that go into the pot or is that specific targeted
That's Bob's fund for the roads.
target? Okay.
That's
it's targeted
Bob's
for that. Okay.
They still have to accept the money.
Right.
Oh, we will.
What goes the roads?
Okay.
It's 245,000.
Yeah,
We're getting off topic.
And there's still another. The House didn't include the 100 million in their budget, but the Senate, they still got thought on that, so they maybe going more with the supplemental, but there's more money coming, but that 245 with the road recovery, it needs to go to get added with chapter 90, because.
Got it.
But the prices of everything are going up to that 245, and they're gonna get just as you can anymore.
So it's,
80 bucks a ton for asphalt to pick it up now.
Yeah, liquid prices going up as we talk now. I don't know, some of it, I don't know what it's gonna be at.
So there's your funding.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Solzick or Adam? I would make a motion for the board to move forward with presented alternate 2 for the Main Street Bridge project as presented.
Second.
Yeah. Point of information, just for the administrator to proceed with design. If I could get that.
Oh,
So,
amended.
so amended,
Yes. Second.
you got that, Holly,
And for the town administrator to move forward.
and design.
In design, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion on Main Street Bridge courses of action? What do we call it? Bang for the buck? Course
Biggest
of
bang
action,
for the
meaning
buck.
Bang for the buck. We did that. That was teamwork right there. Nailed it.
What was the motion second?
Mike and Julie seconded.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, hearing nothing further on the motion for the board to move forward with alternative 2 for the Main Street Bridge project as presented and for the administrator to sign. How do you vote, Jeff?
yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Absolutely,
And
yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, last item on old businesses is a possible update on the rack from Tim.
Yep, I'll be very brief. The meeting is scheduled, the next RAC meeting for the 18th, which is Easter Monday. And the question's already been raised, does that fall under a holiday provision? Meeting on said holiday.
Oh,
So that question has not been totally raised, but that was the last invite and proposed date.
It is not a holiday. From state or federal.
I think the school does use it as a holiday.
Okay. We'll,
So we're kind of in limbo, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's Patriots Day.
yeah.
Oh,
it is a
marathon,
holiday.
it's a
It's a
state
state
holiday.
holiday. It's a
okay, there you
state-
go. See you. All right.
I
Good
guess
luck,
we're
Tim.
still in limbo. Good
We're
luck,
still in
Tim.
limbo.
It's okay. All right, folks, that is the end of old business this evening. We are up to board member and administrator comments and or reports. I've got nothing this evening.
Oh.
Terry's got,
The spec center grant came through and they came in, so we'll be putting them throughout the town and monitoring our air quality for particulates.
someone's gonna take a picture of the QR code and
I was thinking that the other day when,
redo the software inside.
Oh my
so there
God.
was a fire in Gardner the other day, and I was wondering if there were any areas in Templeton that were more prone to particulates on fire or, being-
Just down by your house.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
I'm agreeing.
See,
Ah. Yeah, but they're getting permits this year. Permits involved. So I'm happy that those came through and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have a clean year. They do clean days, dirty days, and we can figure out how to keep our residents, particularly the immune compromised and elderly young children, safe from particulates.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing that first report.
Mm.
Only thing I had is we are due for our first evaluation of Mr. Lamontagne. I emailed out the format. If everyone can get back your reports, I'll consolidate them and we will perform that annual review in our next meeting.
Mind if I sit in?
Of course, you're a public meeting. Any other public, any other board member comments?
I would just again like to express gratitude and thank you to the Libby's for their most generous offer. Very much appreciated. That's pretty unique that they would do that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Tim or Julie? Okay. Adam,
I'm good. Thank you.
fantastic. Peanut gallery?
I'm good.
Right. Folks, our next meeting is. I don't have it off the top of my head. It's not next week. 23rd, April 23rd,
27.
Oh, 27.
27th, April
All right.
27th. 6:30 PM, right in this very room. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And I have a second. Okay, on the motion to adjourn, any further comment? Hearing none, on the motion to adjourn, how do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I'm a yes too.